Well, hello model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Ral. And this week we're going to just take a dive into this kit and have a little bit of fun as it's a kit I really haven't seen before. And this is not mine. This is from Greg Wann's collection and a car that he really likes. And I guess he's been looking for a mint kit. This isn't quite the mint kit that he would like, but it's mostly unbuilt and everything. But we'll definitely look into it. But it was interesting to me, and I was just kind of curious and trying to figure out when this kit was actually kitted and doing a little bit of research into the subject here. And I found some interesting things out. Some of you may or may not know. This kit was issued in 1968. So when this car was brand new, this is a 68 Firebird convertible. And also, the picture on the box here, this is the original concept drawing for the car that they were going to build. And there's some interesting things, but some things were dropped on it. But this is the actual concept car that George Barris was going to create. And some things were dropped when they actually built this car. But so the car actually does exist, and I found that interesting. And there's a whole bunch of things on the side here telling you about it. You know, wide tread tires, custom TV stereo console. This literally takes up the whole back seat. And it did so on the real car as well, which that's gone anyway from the car. Some Hearst mag wheels, a V8 engine, the cantilevered roof with the swing up windows, custom seats, overhead cam 6 engine in it, the custom front end here. There's a shot of the side. The back here with this really nice wing, the scoops on the side, bumperettes, the gas filler door, all kinds of crazy stuff. And I like this right here. Paint to match instructions available at your dealer, cement not included. This isn't a factory car, it's a custom car, so it's kind of funny that it would mention that. And it doesn't say much about it. It's got some pretty neat decals and stuff here, but pretty cool kit. But it's interesting because it does say right in here, Super Teen, America's Music Talent Contest, a Robert E. Peterson Productions. So Peterson Publishing, they actually were producing a TV show for ABC called Sounds of 68. And it was a talent show, and they did a whole bunch of stuff. And they had 3 of these built, and they were giveaway cars for that show. And I guess it did fairly well. It's much like American Idol is today, or has been. But it was a talent show. But when they built the real cars, they did make some concessions. One of the 3 cars still exists today. So there were 3 of them made. And they were all 400 convertibles with automatic transmissions and fairly well loaded from Pontiac. So they were $5,000 cars. The giveaway car was advertised after all the Barris custom things that were done to it and everything. The mag wheels, the custom front and rear treatments, and everything that was done to the car. It was a $12,000 value, the car was. All the custom stuff. Now, this T cantilever roof with the windows and stuff, they decided that was going to be a little too expensive and a little hard to do. Plus, Peterson Publishing wanted to get better pictures of the people in it and the interior. So they decided to keep the convertible top intact and not do this T-roof setup. And it also had this rear wing in here and the scoops on the hood, reminiscent of the 69 Trans Am. And I saw that right away with that, the scoops here, although the Trans Am has the scoops here backwards. But this was developed by Barris, and rumor has it, according to what I was reading, that it is thought that this actually inspired the 69 Trans Am. I can see that, but I did not know that. But some really interesting facts when you're looking up for this car. And one of them has been the one that's known. It has been restored, repainted a really silver metallic. It's got these red, white, and blue stripes on it and everything. A little bit different headlights and some of the stuff, but for the most part, it looks a lot like this car does. So this appears to be from the concept. So let's get into this kit here. And again, this is not my kit. So I won't be getting it built, but we'll start with the instructions here. And it's kind of funny that they call it the Super Teen. It's also called the Brat, Super Teen or Brat, and Firebird. And it's styled by George Barris. Interesting instructions. Has the overhead cam 6 in the box, along with the Pontiac 400 or 326 or whatever you want to call it. But it's a Pontiac V8. But the real car was a 400. There's the automatic transmission. Here's the whole console, sound system console that takes up the entire back seat. Now the car had a shelf, and it had the record player, the TV, and this on it. Then the second shelf, it had a typewriter in the middle of it. I thought that was kind of interesting. The Hearst mag wheels, the exhaust and chassis here, real simple. Most of this is typical MPC stuff. And then here's all the custom body parts, and that here showing assemble. I like this right here. Please follow the instructions. MPC, thought that was cool, but they're not numbered as far as order goes. It's funny. It's numbered in the order to assemble it. Like that's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's not the number of the parts. It's the order of assembly. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's kind of all interesting, but I guess that was very common back then. And the trees are probably not numbered because I've run into that with some very, very vintage kits. Here's the whole top and the hood, the spoiler here. So all kinds of cool stuff. Another thing that I thought was interesting, here's the decal sheet. And this survived. And I find it quite interesting that if you notice the shine, it's one large decal. And on the back, it's got the directions here. Cut decals apart with scissors close to image, dip in the water for a few minutes, and slide paper in the car. Blot out excess water, blah, blah, blah. It's one decal. It's not separate little decals. You got to trim it. And it's funny how if there's white here, you really can't see it much anymore. But, the real car is painted silver, and there's a white stripe in the middle here. And it goes right down the center of the car and down the sides, right down the center. I like all of these musical things, although they're nowhere on the actual car, but that goes along with the show. It's funny how the box doesn't mention Sounds of 68 or any of that stuff, but it does mention Peterson Publishing. But maybe when this kit was being developed, they really didn't have all of that out. So getting into what's in the box here, we'll start with the body here. Now this is not a super mint one here. It's got some issues that I can see. I don't know. It looks like it may have been painted and stripped, or there's overspray on it. But it's got some really neat scoops here. The door handle, pretty cool hood. The rest of it's your typical MPC as far as how it's built. And put that back in place. The rear here with the wing, which was glued on it at one time. You can kind of see there's definitely a line there where you can see it was oversprayed. The whole interior there with it's funny, it's a manual tranny, manual interior. So, and I'm sure most MPCs, the engine, the tranny behind the engine is manual. I like how the seat belts are here in the console. That's pretty cool. And then there's an insert piece for the hood tack. The real convertibles had hood tacks, but he extended the scoop out. This doesn't quite, follow the actual contours of the real car that I've seen on it, but still really cool. Here's the simple chassis in there, in typical construction here, but pin is actually in, and it's got these in here with the alignment pins that go in there. That's what was holding it in. Made it a little hard for me to get out. Another look at the interior tub here. But some of the moldings and some of the other stuff. So we'll put this back together and get some of the other parts out. All right, here's the windows. He's got them in this bag here. So there's a couple of tire marks on the front windshield, a rear flat window, and then one of the pop-up side ones. The other one's in this bag as well, along with the taillight and one headlight, looks like. Maybe the other headlight's in there. But here's a CB headlight. Well, the other headlight's on the tree. I missed it here. Headlight, maybe the turn signals or whatever those might be. But there's that. Here's the other window. Maybe a little bit of polishing. It's funny. That's actually in the glass. It's not on it. It's in it. You see that? You can see it right there. And then the sequential taillight that Barris put into it. Put all this back in the bag. Here's the chrome tree. So there's those Hearst mag wheels, 1968 plate, the Pontiac valve covers, the chrome air cleaner there with the element, all the 6-cylinder parts right there, the 6-cylinder block, cam cover, and the short bumpers, front and rear, and then there's one of the headlight grill assemblies. The other one is in the box. Here's that other grill, so they're both in there. So she's pretty complete. I'll just put it in this bag of chrome stuff because that's where it should be. Some really nice wheels. I like those. All right, here's that interesting top piece right here. And I was playing with it a little bit, and it doesn't look like it mates up really well. Like maybe it's supposed to go under the convertible top, but it seems kind of odd. You know, if it's supposed to meet up with the trunk, it doesn't seem to very well. Well, maybe. Yeah, so that'd be interesting. Get that mated up and glued in place kind of thing. I don't know. I kind of like the car as a convertible instead of this thing, but it's definitely an interesting piece. So, and then we've got a bunch of stuff in here. Let's get this bag out. Here's another package tray piece that goes right over that. Here's that console. So there you can see the TV, this radio, and then the record player. I wonder if it's 45 or 33s. Probably 45s. Radiator support with the radiator. Firewall. What's this? Not really sure what that's going to be. Maybe another filler piece or whatnot. Some wheel backs here, of course. The pins. Here's that manual transmission. Both halves of it. Let's get the other half. So there's those manual tranny parts. The Pontiac steering wheel, which that's a pretty cool steering wheel, actually. Half the engine block. There's a cylinder head, the other cylinder head. The Pontiac exhaust manifolds. The axle pin. That was what was in that bag. Let's see this. Here's the rear axle assembly with the molded in exhaust. 3 mufflers. Got a crossover muffler and those 2 mufflers. And then the actual side exiting rear, somewhat side exiting exhaust. We've got the stock dashboard with some serious texture on it on purpose. AC vents, or the strato ventilation. So I mean, that technically didn't mean it had AC. They kind of were doing a lot of that. That's just a piece of styrene. Mostly styrene with 1 exhaust pipe there. For the 6-cylinder engine, of course. You would remove the exhaust and use that for the 6. Here's the rest of the engine block, fan belt, oil pan, carb, or intake, distributor carb, the 2 radiator hoses, whether it's 6 or 8, and then the battery, of course, and fan. And see what else is in here. Here's the bucket seats for the 68 interior. And we've got, this nose piece, which I believe it goes this way. Yeah, there we go. There's the nose piece there. This was glued at one time, but makes for an interesting, that's what this is going to be. That's the backing. Okay. Then here's the rear filler panel for the taillights. And the roll pan. So quite interesting. So here we go, and I think that might be it. Oh, and the one last piece here, the actual spoiler to give you that Trans Am look, if I can hold on to it here. And this was glued on at one time, so pretty cool. Actually quite an interesting custom here, and I think this would be a pretty sharp build here. Interesting how it's made. The way that appears right there in the concept, and the way it's molded in. You're not opening that trunk. Now, the real car, when I saw it, was the Meekum pictures. The spoiler was made like this, but differently. And it was on the trunk hinges as well, and would lift up the whole. It had some uprights in there, and this actually lifted up with the trunk lead and matched up with these, but these were permanently mounted on the quarter. They didn't lift up with the entire trunk like they do on a 69 Trans Am. But quite an interesting kit here, and kind of fun to look at and everything, you know, especially since it's not my kit here. But we'll get all this stuff back in the bags and the way it is. But kind of fun to look at. Oh, one last thing. I didn't show the tires, but these are the Goodyear white line tires here that MPC had back then. So let's get one out, get a little bit closer look at it than just what's in the bag. Kind of get a kick out of some of these vintage tires and everything. See, polyglass, Goodyear. What does it say? Wide tread. Okay, wide tread, Goodyear. Speedway. That says Speedway on there. So Speedway, Goodyear, wide tread. Pretty cool. Anyway, that's kind of fun to look at this and you know, look at the history of something like this too. I didn't realize this kit goes all the way back to 1968. I didn't think it was that old. And being a customer and everything, and I didn't think this would be an actual real car or anything, or a concept. So, you know, they really jumped on this one. But really cool. So thanks, Greg Wann, for letting me use this and showcase this for you guys. And it's kind of fun to do this stuff, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Please let me know in the comments if you like it when I get my hands on some old kits like this that you wouldn't normally see, or maybe, you know, couldn't afford but dream about, or, you know, those of you who've never even seen this kit, which I'm one of them. I didn't know anything about this kit, and it was only issued the one time, apparently in 1968. So really cool. So Greg Wann, thank you again. You guys, thanks for tuning in, subscribing, and all your comments and everything. I really do appreciate it, you guys. And you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.